Welcome to Co-Regulate and Connect, raising emotionally resilient kids without losing yourself in the process. I want to take a moment to say thank you so much for everyone for coming and to recognize you and just put your name in the chat and where you're from so I can say hi. And also thank you so much for, wanting to create emotional resilience in your family. So important. So I think I might just get on with this webinar and go to the first slide and introduce myself. My name is Sarah Campbell-Lambert. I'm a certified hypnotherapist, kinesiologist, trauma therapist, and Reiki master, and longtime practitioner of many other modalities, and founder of the not-for-profit Cabago Wellness Group. I've been supporting families to navigate emotional overwhelm and build true resilience from the inside out for the last 15 years. So why am I here and why does this matter now? Someone asked me this the other day. Why is your focus on kids? And the truth is, because I've seen what happens when we don't. I've seen the statistics, the number of kids ending up in juvenile detention, the staggering rates of teen addiction, the adults sitting in my therapy room still haunted by unprocessed trauma in their early years. So I went down the rabbit hole of trauma research, and it all pointed to one thing. If we want to make real change in this world, we need to start early. Because by the time the nervous system is fully shaped, it's already been conditioned by the environment, by our relationships, by what was felt and what was missing. I realized something with absolute clarity. Childhood trauma sabotages our mental, emotional, and physical growth. We can't keep waiting for things to break before we offer help. We need to build strong kids, not just try to fix broken adults. That's why Ginger exists and why my focus is here. So the first 7 years aren't just important, they're everything. Everything I've created in the Ginger the Frog Emotional Resilience Program comes from lived experience. My real training didn't start with qualifications or seeing clients. It started in my own living room when I realized that despite all I had, a gorgeous home, 2 healthy kids, I was completely unraveling. This is the program I wish I'd had when my girls were little. It's the toolkit I wish every parent has access to before things fall apart. There was a moment in my life when everything looked perfect from the outside and completely empty on the inside. I was standing on our upstairs balcony in our Sydney home. The pool shimmered below, the bush stretched out in that quiet, eucalyptus kind of calm only Australia has. I had 2 beautiful daughters, 3 and 7, a hard-working husband, a comfortable life, and inside, I was disappearing. Not metaphorically, I was actually planning how to leave. I looked for pills, none. I thought about the balcony, not high enough, and then I cried because I couldn't even manage to end things properly. That was the only time in my life I felt completely, utterly lost. And what I didn't know then was this. I wasn't trying to die. I was trying to end the version of me that no longer worked in my current reality. You see, before children, I lived a big life in film, makeup, hair, costume design, Australia, the US, lots of travel, visas, sets, trailers. I loved it. I was good at it. I had identity, recognition, and constant validation. Then my soul wanted children. I thought motherhood would fill the creative, meaningful part of me. But motherhood isn't a personality replacement, it's an expansion. And I didn't know how to hold both worlds. Trying to return to film became impossible. Babysitters, travel, late nights. I didn't want a full-time nanny raising my kids, but staying home felt like erasing myself. My ego mourned the accolades, and my soul mourned my absence. And I shrank between the two. So I tried to reinvent myself. I made jewelry. It sold. And when it came to scale, manufacturing, wholesale expansion, my heart was silent. One night, my husband came home at 9 p.m., kids unfed, jewelry all over the kitchen bench, me drowning. He didn't yell. He didn't need to. His face said everything. He was at his limit. And honestly, so was I. In that act of love and desperation, he found a retreat in the Blue Mountains. I learned about kinesiology, energy work, breath work, meditation. It cracked me open. I started studying kinesiology. I became a Reiki master. I learned Psych K, theta healing, hypnotherapy, meditation. Then life threw me another challenge: trigeminal neuralgia. Incurable, they said. I healed it through holistic healing, self-advocacy, and deep inner work. My worldview changed. My marriage began to heal. My relationship with my daughters softened and deepened. I rebuilt myself from the inside out. We moved to the country, and then came the fires. New Year's Eve, 2019. Homes lost, lives shattered. Then COVID followed. Children were traumatized. Parents were overwhelmed as well as traumatized. And the community needed real support. So I stepped in. I founded the Kabaga Wellness Group, a not-for-profit offering massage, mindfulness, yoga, meditation, men's barbecues, community events, heart-centered connection, and crisis support. Funding arrived, nearly $500,000, and with it the chance to finally bring a quiet dream I'd been working on for years to life. Ginger the Frog, a children's emotional resilience program built on story, science, creativity, compassion, and healing. We brought in teachers, filmmakers, musicians, artists, and trauma-informed practitioners. We created 2 theatre tours, reached over 1,000 children, distributed 1,200 handmade doll kits, built digital programs for schools and families. And after 9 years, Ginger is complete. Well, nearly complete. Not perfect, but whole. A full circle expression of everything I had lived, lost, learned, and healed. And here's what I realized. I wasn't broken. I was uninitiated. No one taught me emotional resilience. No one taught me nervous system regulation. No one taught me how to feel safely. No one taught me how to truly connect heart to heart. So I learned it the hard way, the long way. And I created Ginger so you don't have to. Because when parents grow, children thrive. When children feel safe, they grow strong and express what they need. And when families connect, the whole world changes. There's one more part of this story I haven't shared yet, the part where Ginger stopped being just a program and became a living, breathing presence in my life. I'll come back to that a little later.
So now I'd like to talk about what Ginger is not. The philosophy behind Ginger is not about behavior management. This is about raising emotionally grounded humans who know how to feel, process, and express themselves with confidence. So if you've ever felt like you're supposed to know how to do this parenting thing, but secretly feel lost, reactive, or unsure where to start, you're in the right place. We're not here to fix anyone. We're here to move through emotions without judgment and remember how to connect deeply and powerfully for life. Right. So thank you to all the parents and caregivers who filled out the surveys, downloaded Ginger's bedtime routine, and are using some of the tools. If you haven't got the free bundle yet, we'll send the link after this webinar. The survey helped me see what the majority of the biggest problems are that you're experiencing now with your kids. And the 3 questions that came up: how do I stay calm and steady when our kids are falling apart? And how do I teach them to do the same? How do we help our kids grow into kind, emotionally aware humans when they're being influenced by the outside world and we're still figuring out how to do it ourselves and how we actually get on the same page? And something else that I've added, what is the one shift that will set our kids up for lifelong emotional resilience, and why is now the best time to teach it, not just to survive the school year, but to thrive in the world they'll grow up in? So the Ginger the Frog Emotional Resilience Program has 4 pillars: somatic self-care, energy, awareness, and neural plasticity. And the best way to answer number 1, the first question, is to experience how to stay calm and steady. So we'll look at somatic self-care first. And we're going to do a few exercises. We're going to do a vagal tone. We're going to do BEST, and we're going to do one for the kids, which is hocus pocus focus. So let's have a look at what the hell the vagus nerve is, vagal, and what is vagal toning. Well, we have this big fat nerve that goes from our eyes through our ears down the side of our necks here. So when we get stressed, it gets really sore and jammed up in here. And then this nerve goes right down into all of our organs and it connects with all of that. So when we get stressed, we're affecting all of our organs to get into a fight, flight, or freeze situation. So that is what the vagus nerve is. And we do something called vagal toning, which actually relaxes this nerve. And it's the somatic self-care that we do, which is very important. So just think about your subject units of distress. Where are you now? 1, you're being super relaxed, and then all the way through to being super stressed. So just think about in your mind, where exactly are you on that scale? And I'll share my screen and we will do some exercises. Great. So first of all, vagal toning. What we do is with our right shoulder, just think about your right shoulder really relaxing down, 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 down. And put your left hand on the right side of your head. And don't pull it or anything. You're just resting your head there, your hand there on your head with your shoulder nice and relaxed. And then just let your head gently go to the side because you don't want to put your neck out. So then you'll feel the stretch coming from your ear right down the side and into your shoulder. So when you feel that stretch, really connect with that in your body, then I want you to raise your eyes up to the ceiling so that you feel that real pull behind your eyes. And that is actually stretching that vagus nerve. And it feels a bit uncomfortable. So we'll stay there for a little while, just doing that. And if you do this every day, you're really going to get yourself into a nice, relaxed state. Oh, feels so good. So really stretching that shoulder down. And then let your head come back up into the center and just be very aware of your head in the center. And then we're going to do the other side. So now with your left shoulder, just really relax your shoulder right down. You could just let your arm flop down by the side. Really relax that shoulder down and let your head go over to the right, and with your right hand on the left side of your head, just gently place it without pulling. And just feel that stretch, feel that beautiful stretch. And then look up with your eyes up at the ceiling, that uncomfortable feeling, but believe me, it really does a lot of work. And you might actually feel yourself relaxing as you do this. It does feel so nice. And we'll just stay there for another 10 seconds. 2, 3, 4, just really focusing on that beautiful stretch. 7, 8, 9, 10. And then come back. Now, this next exercise is a really beautiful exercise to do before you step into any situation where you're going to maybe step into the bedroom and hang out with your children or go and play with them. So you get yourself into a really nice frame that completely connects with your child and where they're at. So we don't want to be pulling our children always up into where we are, because that's completely useless and it stresses them out and dysregulates them. We want to actually get onto their level. So the first part of BEST is breathe. Now, it's a great breath we can do called 4-7-8, which is a very dynamic breath. And in the middle of that, when we hold the breath for 7, we'll do the Valsalva maneuver. And this is from a doctor in Italy who was dealing with a lot of emotionally disturbed people in a big institution. And he came up with this, and this actually tones the vagus nerve as well. So it's kind of like when you want to make yourself go red at school, and you kind of bearing down. So you holding your breath and really creating that kind of when you make yourself go red. So we'll do that, and then we'll go on to the next one after this. So we go in for 4, hold for 7, and dynamically out for 8. And the in is a really sharp in breath that goes right from the base all the way up and just spring cleans all your chakras, goes out of the top. And then we hold and bear down, and then we let go for 8. So we'll try that now. We're going to do that 4 times. So in for 4. 4, hold and bear down. 4, 5, 6, 7, dynamically out. 5, 6, 7, 8, in again. Hold for 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and again. Hold and bear down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And let your breath go back to normal. So this changes the physiology. You can probably feel a lot of energy going through your body now. And now we want to slow down our brain waves. And we spend our whole time in our beta state where we're rushing around and trying to get things done and helping our kids and whatever. And they are not in that place. They're in a place between alpha and theta, which is a kind of meditative state. They're in that dreamy, they don't really know what's going on. They're just kind of these little beings, these energy beings wandering around in the world, but they are always in that kind of dreamy state. So if we get down onto that state with them, we're going to be able to communicate with them a lot more. So we slow ourselves down and we slow our brain waves down. And we do this by raising our eyes. So E stands for eyes, and that's how we remember it. And we raise our eyes and we keep our chin down and our back nice and straight. And we look up at a high point, at one point in the distance, and we keep our eyes there. And we take everything in our peripheral vision to the left and to the right. So we kind of get into that 1,000-yard stare. And that slows your brainwaves down. And I can feel my brainwaves slowing down now. And so we've changed our physiology with the breath. We've slowed our brainwaves by raising our eyes. We can do that at any time if we really want to get onto the same level as our kids. And then S stands for surrender. So I usually just close my eyes and go in and just connect with my senses. Surrender to my senses. Surrender to something bigger than me and my little life and everything, because we are completely and utterly connected in this world. So we surrender to our senses, and that gets us out of our busy monkey minds. What can you smell? What can you taste? What can you hear? What can you see? The inside of my eyelids? What can you touch? What can you feel? That's a beautiful thing. Now, the last one is T. What is the truth of the situation? The truth of the situation, take your Focus from your head, take the elevator down from your head into your heart. You can place a hand on your heart if you want to, and ask, what would love say? What would love do? How would love be in every single situation in your life? And being in this high vibration is everything. And we'll talk about that later in this presentation. So when you're connecting from your heart with your children in a beautiful, relaxed state, you've relaxed your physiology, you've slowed your brainwaves down, you've surrendered to the situation, and you're connecting from your heart. That is the most beautiful place that you can be when you want to connect with your children. So the next one we have, and the last one just in this little bit, is we're going to do Hocus Pocus Focus. Now, this is a tool that is used at the beginning of every single story in the Ginger the Frog program. And this gets kids to relax and really focus on the story. And it's so wonderful when you have a whole group of kids and they're all doing this exercise. So what you do is you put your hands together, you look through at the screen. So that focuses their eyes. And then you bring your hands very slowly together. And then you're rubbing, you can see how slowly you can go. Children absolutely love this. See, really, really slowly, just feeling your hands as you move your hands against each other. And then as you go faster and 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 faster. So you're really creating some energy in your hands. And then you put your hands over your eyes. Oh, feels so relaxing. Better to do it without glasses, my glasses. And then just let your hands just go down your face, feeling your fingertips going down your face, relaxing those 22 muscles on your face. Then you go down and you put them on your lap. And then you're ready to listen. So it's a beautiful one to do. We just say Hocus Pocus Focus, and then it reminds your children to tune in because they, yes, I've seen that in the stories. So that's a wonderful thing to do. Now I'm going to share again and we'll carry on and see what we have. Now, what are your subject units of distress now? If you remember the number that you had before, and 1 being super relaxed, 10 being really super stressed, where are you now? Have you come down? Have you come down to a more relaxed state? Yeah, that's great. Thank you for the thumbs up. So that's really nice. So let's go on to our next slide. Now, of course, practice. When we make these things a habit, and we do this every day, we're not stretching the elastic band, because what we do is we just ignore, we just go through the routine of doing everything. And then one day we just snap at our kids and we wonder why we've snapped. It's because we've just taken it too far and we haven't done our practices every day. And they're such beautiful practices to do. They're really easy. You know, I'm not asking you to sit there and try and meditate for half an hour. These practices can be done quite quickly. So that's nice. So the next slide we have here is awareness. And I'm just going to get myself together. Awareness is the foundation of all emotional growth. It's how kids survive. We can't regulate what we don't recognize. So the first step isn't teaching kids to be calm, it's helping them notice what they're feeling. That's what we model, and that's what we practice together. Tense and relax. You see on the left, we've got Ginger, nice and relaxed. And then she tenses, and that's in the first episode of Be Brave because she gets very cross with her mother. And that gets them really in touch with their bodies, out of their heads and into their bodies. So tense and relax is a really lovely thing to do. And then, of course, how do I feel? And that's the thumbs up. So we'll go to the next slide. This big poster is one that you put on the wall. And a lot of children actually went through COVID when they were little and they kind of missed what expressions are, because when they can read expressions on people's faces, not only looking, I mean, they do read energy all the time of how people are, but when they can read it, they can communicate with people a bit more. So we always ask, and this was very popular with 9-year-old boys in a cohort that I did at Bermagui School, even though it's only for 3 to 7-year-olds, they loved to be able to express how they felt with their thumb. They didn't want to actually verbalize it. They could actually, so we have, you know, happy, sad, or somewhere in the middle, and there's a whole load of things in this is what we do after the Hocus Pocus Focus, is how do I feel in every episode? We're always checking in with how we feel. And that's really nice. And yes, it's in all of the episodes in the Ginger's Brave and Kind Club. So when we understood emotions, we then have the choice to change them if we want, and then it gets us on the same page as our kids, and they get on the same page as their friends. So this is how, if we can feel it, we can heal it. So now we're going to go on to Jill Bolte Taylor, and she just has a really fun way, which kind of aligns with how I operate. Or I'm not really into the dry way of trying to teach people the mechanics of the mind. And she's a very playful person. She had a tumor in the left side of her brain, and she actually put TED Talks on the map. So, she's a stroke survivor, and her TED Talk, My Stroke of Insight, just went viral. And she explains that each hemisphere of our brain has both a thinking and feeling side. And a lot of psychologists, psychotherapists, whatever, in the past, they have said that you have one side that's your thinking side, and then, one side that's your emotional. But she, being a neuroanatomist and studying the brain, realizes that we both think on each side and we both have emotions on each side of our brains. So let's go and have a look. Helen, that's what she calls her characters different names. So her character 1 is called Helen, Hell on Wheels. And this is the organizer, the planner, the get things done part, the linear, logical, loves routine, loves to be really organized. Brush your teeth, pack your bag, So that's the sort of person, when you've got children, you can see people who are very, very organized and everything has to be, done and be on time. Now, Abby, this is your left emotional brain, the lower part in the amygdala, and that's the wounded child. Reacts based on past hurts, holds grudges, gets triggered easily. This isn't fair. I hate this. This is the whiny voice. They're really disorganized. We know humans like this. I mean, not humans, grown-ups like this. So that she calls Abby, and that's her abandoned one, when she felt like that she was abandoned when she was a baby. So now the next one, of course, is the right emotional, and that's the playful, creative, loving part. Fully in the moment, experiential, expressive. Let's dance, let's play, let's go sailing off into the sunset, and there's a huge wind blowing and you don't even know it's there because you're just too much, you're having too much fun. So if we actually reside completely in our right sides, we become very dysfunctional. We do actually we need our hell on wheels Helen, to be able to, and we do actually need our character 2 as well, because that's the one that keeps us safe, warns us of danger. But we do need to be having conversations with that part of us as well. Now, Queen Toad, this is the character 4, and this is the calm, wise observer, peaceful, grounded, connected to everything. We're safe. Everything's okay. We're looking at a sunset and it's beautiful in the distance, and we're just in awe of everything. And we're looking at our children just going, what amazing little beings they are. This is a really beautiful place to be, and we don't spend much time there, which is a real problem. So which characters do you think are more dominant in your children? So I mean, we realized that, those two, the character 2 and character 3, that's where they live mainly, because this prefrontal cortex isn't actually developed enough. And why this matters for your child. By age 3, children already have these 4 characters, though they're still developing. Kids mostly operate from character 2 and 3, which is pure emotion, with very little impulse control or long-term thinking. They borrow our nervous system to regulate if we stay calm. That's character 4. They learn how to calm too. So if the more that we're in our character 4, the more we can co-regulate with our children, you see? So, and then we can recognize when they're in their playful character 3 or their character 2, and also when we are, so that we can connect on that level. And so that's a really important thing to remember, that they borrow our nervous system. Recognizing the four characters is such a lovely way to understand what's going on for us and our kids. In Ginger's Guide for Grown-ups, I go into these characters a lot more deeply because awareness is everything, and it's the foundation of emotional resilience. What does awareness of feelings and understanding the mechanics of the mind really do? What does it do? Creates empathy. When kids notice and tune into their own feelings, they naturally develop empathy. They get what it feels like to be sad, scared, or overwhelmed, so they're more likely to respond with kindness when someone else is. Computers will never, ever be able to create true empathy. It's really, really important for our race as human beings to survive. It deepens connection. Awareness builds emotional language, which naturally comes when we're connected to our feelings, and emotional language builds connection. I feel becomes the bridge to real heart level communication between kids and their peers and between kids and their grown-ups. So it grows accountability. When a child knows what they're feeling and why, they start to learn that feelings are signals, not instructions. Just because I feel mad doesn't mean I have to hit. I'm in charge becomes real. And there's a whole episode about that which is episode 3. Regulation starts here. You can't change what you're not aware of. Helping kids tune into their body, breathe, and feelings is how we start the regulation process. It's the first step to calming down, problem solving, or shifting states. And it supports independence. When kids learn to notice feelings without needing an adult to tell them what's going on, it builds inner trust. This is what sets them up for self-regulation, self-correct, and eventually they self-lead. I know this all seems like common sense, but how much of the day do we spend letting our minds wander all over the place, telling us we're not good enough, that's not available to us, we need a strong line of contact to our character twos, because they've just completely derailed us. So our child's ability to feel their feelings, not read early, not sit still, not be good, is actually the single most important skill they can develop that will affect the rest of their life. Because when a child knows how to feel, they know how to connect, to empathize, to calm themselves, and to grow. Everything else builds from there. Now, the next pillar is energy. Kids are their emotions. They live in the moment, fully feeling everything as energy in motion. To truly connect with them, we need to meet them there, in the body, in the senses, and in the now. That's where real learning, healing, and connection happens. Best is a great tool to use to meet them there. Now, here is David Hawkins' levels of vibrational energy chart. Now, David Hawkins, he used kinesiology to muscle test thousands of people to see what the vibrational frequency output of emotions were. The chart here shows his results. Emotional resilience starts with joy. We all want our kids to learn well. Would you agree? Kids don't learn when they feel anxious, shamed, or shut down. They learn when they feel safe, seen, and connected, and that shift matters. According to David Hawkins, in the map of consciousness, when children feel love, courage, or joy, they're operating at a higher vibrational frequency, the space where real creativity and healing happens. So you can see here on the chart where courage is, and that's the green line, then it's, that's when it actually starts to go into the positive. And that is the key that turns the lock. So after they just have the courage, and of course, the first episode is Be Brave. It goes into neutrality and then willingness and acceptance and reason and love and joy. So we go up, and it's so important to try and keep that vibration high in the household. And we, as the parents who are the primary caregivers of our kids, can really just work on ourselves to keep that vibration high, because that's when we get the most interaction and the most connection with our children. And neuroscience backs it. Positive emotions broadens attention, boosts problem solving, and builds resilience. That's from Seligman, from Positive Psychology. And that's why the Ginger the Frog program uses story, song, creative visualizations, and somatic tools. Because when kids feel good, they learn better, connect deeper, and grow stronger inside and out. And which character is responsible for play and connections? Do you remember? Character 3. Research from the HeartMath Institute shows that when we connect to our own hearts, we create a field of calm that children can feel even before we speak. We'll talk about that more in the course. But this is where real co-regulation begins. It's a very powerful place. In Ginger's Guide for Grown-ups, we explore how to lead with presence, using tools like active love, a practice from Phil Stutz and Barry Michaels, helps us send love even when we feel triggered or hurt. And I think it's really worth sharing. I'm going to stop the share and do this exercise of active love. And I did this, I'll just give you a bit of context here. When in the evening, I was really annoyed with my husband, and I went to bed feeling annoyed. And you know, when you wake up the next morning and you're still black from it. And I thought, I really have to change this mood because this is not going to heal anything. It's not going to change anything. So I lay there and I practiced active love. So I will go through it now with you, and then I'll tell you the results of it at the end from what happened that morning. What we do is we imagine all of the love in the world, all of the beautiful things in the world that bring us into a place of love, and we pull all of that into our hearts, and we imagine our heart getting bigger and bigger and bigger as it's filling full of all these beautiful, loving things, loving emotions. And then we allow our hearts to go back to their normal size, really condensing all of this beautiful love into a beautiful bright white light. And when we have this bright white light in our minds, we then create a channel of this white light that goes straight in to the other person and through their hearts. Now, I'd just like to mention one thing here. We call it active love because we're not always feeling the love, and we might be sending it to someone like a sister or brother or mother or whatever who really annoys us. So it's a really good thing to practice on people that you really want to make peace with. So you just have this beautiful long. So I did this and I lay down in bed and I was just sending out this beautiful, loving light, and it went through, right through Richard. And then what Phil Stutz says is he says, just wait and see what happens. So I waited and I thought, yeah, whatever. And this avalanche of the most tingling and gorgeous feeling went through my whole body. So I had this literally this physical feeling of what love really felt like in all the cells of my body. And I went, that's what he's talking about. That's what it's about. So practice that. Bring all the love into your heart, the gorgeous long tube of love going straight through someone. Because what happens in the law of attraction is, of course, everything comes back to you tenfold. When you give out love, you get back love tenfold. So I feel like this is a beautiful exercise to do. And he's a very well-known psychiatrist. And he uses a lot of creative visualizations. And he has a book called The Tools. And I would recommend you have a look at that book because it's just delightful. All right, let's share. Go back to share. When we can shift our own state, we model emotional strength, which keeps us connected. And that's what your kids will remember. So next one. If we want to raise kids who thrive, we need to reach their hearts first because joy is the gateway to learning. Isn't that what we want for our kids? Very true. The fourth one and final pillar in Ginger the Frog is neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change and rewire itself. Why kids from 3 to 7, why this matters, up to 1 million new neural connections per second are being created. That is just mind-blowing. Their brains are like wet clay, shaped by experiences. Core emotional and behavioral patterns are being wired for life. By age 5, your child's brain is 90% developed. 90%, there's only 10% more, and it's wiring itself based on everyday moments with their caregivers, especially you. That's why now is the time to build emotional strength. And why Ginger works. Repetition plus somatic exercises plus creative visualizations and story creates stronger brain pathways. Kids embody learning. They don't just hear it, they feel it. Songs, stories, and rituals train the brain while it's still wiring itself. And the key takeaway here is what we practice, which becomes habitual in early childhood, becomes their default setting in later life. So the next tool that we're going to look at is the anchor technique. Here's a simple but powerful tool I mentioned in the bedtime bundle, but didn't fully demonstrate. It's called the anchor technique. This phrase is used in every creative visualization throughout the Ginger's Brave and Kind Club stories and in the meditations from the bedtime bundle, except the good morning one. I am safe, I am strong, I am calm, I am loved, I am happy, I am free. This becomes an emotional anchor, a steady, familiar rhythm your child connects to. The more they hear it consciously and subliminally in these creative visualizations, the more it becomes part of their inner voice. Try teaching the actions to them before they go to school. When you listen to the bedtime routine, which is the bedtime meditation, which is in the bedtime bundle, it's in the meditation. It's actually mentioned twice in the meditation, so they're taking it in subliminally. And it's gentle, consistent, and quietly powerful. Just like the resilience we're helping them build. So I'm going to stop sharing, and we're going to do this anchor technique, which is lovely. So, and there's another thing that we do as well in the series, in the children's series. She makes this little shrug and she asks Great Auntie Fifi, what's a shrug? And Great Auntie Fifi says, oh, darling, it's when you're giving yourself a soft, warm hug. So that's also mentioned in the creative visualizations as well. So a child can actually self-soothe by themselves without needing you all the time. They become much more independent. So the first one is, I am safe. So it's literally giving yourself a soft, warm hug. I am safe. And then the next, you move your hands down to your arms. I am strong. And just firmly grip your arms and say, I am strong. And then the next one is, of course, havening, which is something we use in hypnotherapy. And you stroke your arms and say, I am calm. So it's like you can calm yourself. I am calm. And that feels beautiful. And the next one is, I am love. Put your hands on your heart, connect with your heart, go into love. I am love. And then, of course, I just say, I am happy. And when you say the word happy, you smile and you release serotonin. And I am free. So this is a beautiful thing to teach your children. I am safe. I am strong. I am calm. I am love. I am happy. I am free. And it really gets them into a really positive state. So I love that one. I think that's great. So I'll share my screen again. And we will go on. That's the exercise. So let's go on to the next. Just to recap, you've learned about the 4 pillars in the Ginger the Frog Emotional Resilience Program. You've learned some somatic exercises to calm yourself before interacting with your kids. Vagal toning, BEST, B-E-S-T, one to do with your kids as well, which is Hocus Pocus Focus. And that's only just a small snippet of what's in the program, but it's all you need to get onto their level right now. Calm the nervous system, slow the brainwaves, surrender your senses and to universal wisdom, and practice connecting with love in all your interactions, and to make these your new habits. You learned about awareness and the importance of understanding emotions, and the first tool in the kids program, and what the benefits are to understanding the emotions we can feel. If we can feel it, we can heal it and connect. And how important it is for kids to tune in about how they feel rather than articulate it without judgment. 4 characters that live in our brain, Jill Bolte Taylor, to understand the mechanics of the mind. And we've learnt how emotion is energy in motion with David Hawkins' levels of vibrational energy chart, his love chart, as I call it. If we want to create successful, empathetic, heart-centered human beings, way more important than anything else at this stage of their development. and how fast a child's brain is growing, that is neuroplasticity, and the influence creative visualizations can have on a child, plus the amazingly effective tool, the anchor technique.
If you've started with Ginger's bedtime routine bundle, you already know the power of slowing down, heart-centered connection, and using simple tools to support emotional regulation, and most importantly, to create a lovely natural rhythm at bedtime, the heart of emotional regulation. These two 9-week programs, Ginger's Brave and Kind Club and Ginger's Guide for Grown-Ups, are the natural next step. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to gently guide your child or your children towards the essential skills of self-regulation in 9 weeks or less, so they can build the emotional resilience they need for the challenges of today and the world they'll grow into. Imagine walking into a situation that would have set your child off just weeks before and watching them self-regulate right there and then. Rather than going into a meltdown, you see them calm their body and settle their emotions in seconds, while you stay more steady and grounded than you ever have before. Inside these programs, the tools your child learns will support you just as much as they support them. I've taken everything you've begun to explore, co-regulation, awareness, energy, and calming exercises, and deepened it into a full and supported journey for both you and your child. One that builds real emotional intelligence, resilience, and heart-centered connection week by week. Raise emotionally resilient kids together. Ginger's Brave and Kind Club, a 9-part emotional resilience series for kids aged 3 to 7. Through storytelling, song, movement, and play, children learn essential emotional skills in a way that feels fun, safe, and becomes familiar and habitual. Each episode follows Ginger and her friends as they face big feelings and learn how to respond with courage, kindness, and confidence. Story themes include being brave, getting over shyness and meeting new people, ants in your pants, tools for focus and self-regulation, I'm in charge, understanding emotional responsibility, feel, blow, let it go, managing anger and repairing with care, asking for help, even from grumpy grown-ups, owning mistakes, building accountability and trust, telling the truth, learning honesty without fear, turning fear into bravery, trying new things with confidence, and finding my superpower, celebrating strengths and being seen. Each episode includes a story-based, partly animated video, guided visualizations, videos and audios, activities, Q&As, posters, songs, and exercises. Ginger's Guide for Grown-Ups, 9 weekly sessions for parents and caregivers to build your own emotional toolkit. While your child learns to handle their feelings, you'll learn how to support them without losing yourself in the process. Topics include navigating transitions like starting school, responding instead of reacting during meltdowns, creating calm and slowing down in a busy world, holding emotional space without burnout, replacing shame with compassion when mistakes happen, managing anger with awareness and repair, and reclaiming support and deepening relationships, and rediscovering purpose, joy, and self-connection during parenthood. As your child builds emotional awareness and resilience, so do you. You'll feel more confident, connected, and equipped to guide them through anything while also caring for yourself. Imagine the relief of knowing you're breaking generational patterns and giving your children what you wish you had. No more repeating the mistakes of the past. No more feeling trapped by old scripts. You'll finally have the tools, the language, and the confidence to parent differently, with compassion, clarity, and connection at the center. You don't have to yell, even if that was modeled for you. You don't have to shame, dismiss, or withdraw. You can choose differently. And when you do, everything changes for you, for your children, for your partnerships, and for generations to come. What would it be worth to you to have a deep connection with your children and know you're fully supported for 9 weeks while creating a solid foundation for their future? The course includes a community hub where you can ask questions and interact throughout the course, weekly live catch-ups online to go through course material that will be recorded and emailed to you if you miss any, a small cohort and individual attention, a workbook for parents, and lifetime access to future courses and all the material. The price will be $4.97 in the future for this level of interaction and support, but for the first cohort, it's only $197 or 70 times 3 over 9 weeks duration. Plus, as a bonus, a private session for an hour and a half worth $130 with me at any time during the 9 weeks. What's so special about this cohort is it's the pilot program. This means more personal attention, more energy, and more support. Ginger's been trialled in schools with amazing results. Even 3-year-olds meditate, and parents love it too. One child calmed his crying baby sister using Ginger's breathing tool. Another told one of our actors from the theatre show, mid-meltdown, "You need to breathe into your red balloon, lady." These moments show Ginger works. She gives kids a voice. Kids use it, and it sticks. When I hear about the overwhelmed teachers and kids out of control, it's moments like these that keep Ginger moving forward. Backed with a guarantee after 2 weeks, if you find this isn't for you, I'll refund your money, no questions asked. This is right for you if you want your child to thrive emotionally, but you're not sure how to teach them, especially when you're running on empty. You know the value of meditation, mindfulness, and awareness tools, but haven't had the time or support to use them consistently. You want a meaningful resource delivered in small, easy chunks that's fun and beneficial for all of you to do together. You sometimes snap, feel guilty, or shut down, and you're ready to break that cycle with tools that actually work. You're done striving for perfection, and you just want to feel more connected, calm, and confident in how you show up. And you've wondered, am I doing enough, or is it too late? And you're ready to feel empowered instead of uncertain. Imagine the relief of knowing you're breaking generational patterns and giving your children what you wish you had. You'll feel confident even on the hard days because you have tools that actually work. Imagine your children looking back on their childhood and remembering feeling safe, heard, and deeply loved. You will look back with a full heart, knowing you were the grounded anchor your family needed through the good times and the bad. Ginger talks to me now, not in words, but in moments, in ideas that arrive fully formed, in the quiet certainty that this work isn't finished yet. The puppet hasn't been made, but she's already alive, waiting for her next form, her next stage, her next generation of brave and kind kids. Because Ginger doesn't belong to me anymore. She belongs to every child learning how to feel safe, every parent learning how to stay present, and every family choosing connection over chaos.
Brilliant. So I hope you enjoyed that presentation. And if you're very interested to look at the program a little more deeply, we're going to be sending an email out to anybody that registered for this webinar. And in that, you can go to our beautiful page that really goes a little bit more deeply into what you actually expect from this 9 weeks, rather than just trying to cram it all into 1 hour. And that's where you can actually purchase the course and start. We start on the 4th of February.